Do we know who the Antichrist is? No, we don't. He has not been revealed yet. But I do have my eye on somebody.
All right, let's see it.
When the Bible talks about the coming of the Antichrist, the one who's going to rule the world, it talks about a one world financial system that this beast rules over,
No, it doesn't.
and that he doesn't allow people to buy or sell unless they worship him. Okay?
So this is about the beast from Revelation chapter 13, which is nowhere identified as the Antichrist. In fact, the Antichrist is nowhere mentioned at all in the book of Revelation. In fact, the word Antichrist doesn't occur at all anywhere in the Bible except for a couple of the epistles of John, where it is mostly used as an adjective for anyone who opposes Jesus. So the notion that the beast from Revelation 13 is the Antichrist is an entirely post-biblical interpretive decision. It's something that has been read into the Bible from outside based on this post-biblical unifying framework of univocality that allows you to then play with the passages from the Bible and put them together in whatever way serves your interests to create whatever edifice or narrative or entity you want. Now, there's a degree to which this is an inevitability if anyone is trying to understand the Bible and make meaning with the Bible, because the Bible has no inherent meaning. But there is a way to try to prioritize the context and the rhetorical goals and the interests of the authors and earliest audiences to try to, as near as we can, approximate what we think the authors and editors and earliest audiences understood about the text. And when we impose unifying frameworks, we're not doing that. We're overruling what the authors and editors and audiences want, so that we can impose what we want on the text. This is the Lego bricks metaphor of biblical hermeneutics, where every passage is a different Lego brick, and we are at liberty to take whatever we want to put it together to create whatever we want. So this is not coming from the Bible. This is something that people are reading into the Bible.
And Daniel describes a man who's not really that interested in women.
So three problems here. First, no, it doesn't. Daniel 11:37 talks about this individual showing no respect for the gods of his ancestors or for the one beloved by women, which has long been understood as a reference to Tammuz Adonis. Now, the King James Version mistranslates this to indicate that this individual would have no love for or desire for women, but that's a mistranslation. It's a reference to a God who is desired or beloved by women. Second problem is that Daniel has absolutely nothing whatsoever to do with any Antichrist, because Daniel was written a couple centuries before the notion of an Antichrist was created. So this is another example of just arbitrarily reading something from another part of the Bible into this part of the Bible because it is rhetorically useful. But the book of Daniel never mentions any Antichrist and has nothing to do with any Antichrist. The third issue is that the individual that this content creator is going to suggest might fit the bill has had 13 different children by 4 different women, and so can hardly be said to have no desire for women.
It describes someone in Revelation who's going to sit on the throne in the temple of God.
So the book of Revelation says absolutely no such thing whatsoever. This is a reference to 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 3 through 4, which are about the man of sin or the lawless one, whom the author, who is not Paul but writing probably after Paul's death, says must come first before the second coming of Jesus. And it says he will exalt himself above every god and will seat himself in the throne in the temple of God. And what 2 Thessalonians also never does is use the word Antichrist. Again, that designation only ever occurs in a couple of the epistles of John, and you have to read it into these other passages if you want to connect them.
It describes someone who's going to receive a mortal wound and be healed and continue to live, and it specifically says a head wound.
And scholars have long identified this as a reference to Nero, who died in the late 60s CE, but shortly after a rumor started up that he escaped death and actually fled to the Parthians or was going to be coming back from the dead to come back and take over rule of Rome, which would represent an existential threat to the survival of followers of Jesus. Please stop suggesting that this refers to Donald Trump as well because of whatever nicked his ear at that speech. That's not a mortal head wound, and none of this at all makes Donald Trump the beast or the Antichrist either. I don't think it is helpful to read any of these people into this text because that still suggests that these texts have some kind of control over our present or our future. And the simple fact is that they do not. They have only to do with the middle of the 2nd century BCE in the case of Daniel and the end of the 1st century CE in the case of the book of Revelation.
Now, it also says that those days will be cut short because if they weren't cut short, even the elect would not be able to be saved if that were possible. So it's someone who's going to be able to deceive the Christians.
All kinds of people and worldviews have been deceiving Christians for many centuries.
Now, we have someone who is already a champion in the conservative Christian movement, being Elon Musk. Do I think he is the Antichrist? I don't know, but I have a close eye on him for a few reasons. One, he's working on Neuralink. Two, he's heavily invested in cryptocurrency. This is a man who wants to see a new global financial system and is developing a technology to merge man with the machine.
Of course, none of this has anything to do with anything that's in the Bible.
Now, in the future, could he obtain that much power and become that person? I think it's possible because he already has the Christians in his pocket, which would make that verse about deceiving the elect more relevant. Because you would almost have to do that. You would almost have to obtain.
I guess the video's over. That was the entire video that was on this content creator's Instagram account. So, but anyway, all of this is obviously pure and utter nonsense. Elon Musk has absolutely nothing to do with whatever's going on in Daniel or Revelation or anywhere else in the Bible, because these texts are about the middle of the 2nd century BCE or the end of the 1st century CE. They are apocalyptic literature written by authors operating within specific social and historical circumstances with rhetorical goals directly and exclusively related to those social and historical circumstances. And so nothing in any of these texts has any real direct relevance outside of those social and historical contexts. So the book of Revelation has nothing to do with anything that took place or will take place after the end of the 1st century CE. It is an attempt to exhort followers of Jesus in that time period to remain faithful. It's trying to evoke an emotional response and also exhort them to remain unspotted from the evil Roman Empire. It has absolutely nothing to do with our day or any time in our future. And so apocalyptic literature, end times, prophecies, these things have nothing to do with what's going on today or in our future. Now, there are an awful lot of Christians who think of the Bible as a little Ouija board, and they're over here going, oh, you're moving it towards Elon Musk. And then other Christians are over here going, no, you're moving it. It's actually Barack Obama, which is always one of the comments that comes up in videos like these. All of this is pure and utter nonsense. These are people imagining that the Bible gives them some kind of insight into and even control over their own future, and it doesn't. This is just the performance of this belief that we can divine the future by better understanding the symbols that we find in this late 1st century CE apocalyptic literature. And none of that is true. And the fit for this video has been Chip and Dale.